Coaches, the students on your team all have their pieces. Now, it's time to get them performance ready. Students, it's time to put in the effort and show the judges what you're made of. Let's talk about rehearsing and performing. Hello, oral interpers. Today's video is for both coaches and students. For the portion focused on rehearsal sessions, I'll be mainly addressing the coaches. For the portion about performances, I'll be addressing the students. Let's dive right in. To kick off the first part of the video, I'd like to revisit the 3 interviews I had with coaches Michelle Fink, Alecia Juelfs, and Theresa Fester. During their interviews, I asked them how they typically handle rehearsal sessions, and here is what they said.
Very variety. Basically, I'm lucky to have a class, but we have team nights twice a week. And we try to say, mandate they attend at least one, but it's really hard right now with band and soccer. Everyone deals with kids being in a lot of activities. Coaches have sign-up sheets for individual times during the week, and then we also have 2 team nights a week.
They have an allotted amount of time for each rehearsal. I usually go with 30 minutes. So usually they run through the piece once, that's about 10 minutes. I give them notes, we try to tweak some things, and then we run portions that we've just improved. I ask them what they worked on, because at the end of every rehearsal, I try to give them some kind of homework. Like, okay, next time I want to see it memorized, or next time I want to see those moves and I want you to brainstorm some of your blocking for this part. Once they start running through the piece, you're just going through and you're identifying what's clear and what's not. Because essentially a good piece will be an easily understood piece. I'm learning to check in with them, see how they're doing, see what they've worked on, how they're feeling about it, and then just get them to do it. Just do it.
They will read their piece to me. Then we'll talk about key parts of where you need this, don't need that. And then I'll say, okay, now go and type that up and send it to me. Readers theater has been typically very hard. When you've got kids in cross country after school, soccer after school, volleyball after school, you can't meet after school. Thanks to COVID, that has also maybe opened up a possibility of, all right, we can't do this only on Zoom, but we could practice readers theater on Zoom just so that we're practicing it. If I give each kid 30 minutes a week, or even 30 minutes times 2, that's 9 hours. So 9 hours a week for 4 weeks before our first competition ends up being about 36 hours. By the time they're ready for districts, my time gets much less. We primarily at that point only meet with the kids that made it out of districts and go to regions.
Thank you again to these coaches for sharing their insights. In my time as an assistant coach, I have usually handled rehearsal sessions similar to the way that Mrs. Juelfs described, but I'll elaborate on the process I have discovered works for me. First, I have the student run through their entire piece once for me, and I take notes while I observe. This gives the student the chance to run through their entire performance without interruption, and I write down things they both did well and things they can improve on. While I take notes, I try to write down tidbits of sentences so I know which parts of the piece I want to go back to with the student. After the student has finished giving me their piece the first time, I go over my notes with them. Something I've learned to utilize this year is questioning skills. Asking students questions about the motivations behind their piece helps them to think critically about the content and how they are portraying it. Asking students questions like, what is the motivation for this character? Or, what is the tone of this poem? Helps get the gears turning in their head. The last portion of my rehearsal sessions is what I like to call the breakdown. We take the piece in chunks, starting and stopping to address different aspects. I have them experiment, giving them directives like, make that action 10 times bigger, or say that line again, but like you just saw someone you love get hurt. I've found that this can help students loosen up and gain the confidence to try new, bolder decisions in their pieces. They begin to make the piece their own in this way, and they connect with the material on a deeper level because they're relating it to their experiences. Now let's move on to the next part of the video. Performance. Students, after preparing your pieces, when competition day hits, it's go time. Here are a few bits of advice from my own experiences and from watching students over the years. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you is this. Number 1, channel your nerves. You are going to get nervous sometimes, so let your shaky hands shine when your character is angry, afraid, or intense. Utilize the adrenaline to energize your performance and draw your audience in. The next piece of advice I have is number 2, trust yourself. You have been working hard for this performance and have prepared adequately. Run your piece once or twice before you perform, but don't overdo it. You can take confidence knowing that you've put in the effort up until this point, and even if you make mistakes, you can take solace knowing that you put your best foot forward. My final piece of advice might be a bit cliche, but I sincerely mean it. Number 3, have fun. You are performing a story that now carries a piece of yourself. It's exciting to share that with the world using the talents you were given. If you simply enjoy the flow of the piece, you may find yourself settling into its familiar rhythm, and maybe even letting go of some of your nerves. While winning awards is great, Oral Interp is much more about becoming better communicators, performers, and storytellers. It's about connecting with your audience in a way that touches their hearts, and that is more fulfilling than any medal could be. Well, Oral Interpers, this concludes my series about oral interpretation and its many facets. I hope you were able to learn something new from these videos that will help you to be a better participant, coach, or judge, whether your state calls this activity oral interp, speech, or forensics. Salutations, and happy oral interping!